I'm Chad.
I'm Dad. No, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be Dad first.
Oh yeah, you're Dad.
I'm Dad.
I'm Chad. And this is our channel.
So this is something that I talked to Michelle about, and she changed the instructions because it didn't talk too much about safety wiring these baffles. So if you have a Titan 340, I saw this in the pictures where these baffles and they go around the cylinders here. I believe they're called, what are they called, Dad? They're cylinder. They wrap around the cylinders here. It doesn't say anything about, it used to not say anything about safety wiring these. What the safety wire does is it pulls these tight up against the cylinders. And it didn't, like I said, it didn't say much about it. We sent an email to Michelle at Rans, and she changed the instructions up to add this in, but there's still not any pictures of it. So I kind of wanted to show you guys what we did. Basically, we just drilled a hole in each one of these flanges here, drilled 2 here and 1 in each one of these. And you have to unhook the oil drains here to get these to go around the oil drain lines. So just unhook these, pull it down, the rubber here. You don't have to unhook that side. It'll flex down. And then, of course, once you're done, tighten this back up and put some of that marker.
Barrel and cylinder plates.
Barrel and cylinder plates, guys. So, and then this is the co-pilot side. And you'll have to fish these through here so they don't hit anything, because you'll want to go on top of these oil lines here or they will hit. So hopefully that helps somebody out. It would have been nice to have known this beforehand, because these were pretty hard to drill while they were on the engine. I didn't want to take them off because they're a pain to get off. So I drilled them on the engine. Drill this before you put these on the engine. Be so much easier. It doesn't really matter where the holes are. Like I said, on these there's just 1, and then on this guy closest to the intake tubes there's 2. And that's what it showed in the pictures, in Rand's pictures. It was kind of hard to see, but anyway, they clarified it, Rand, put it in the instructions, and there's you a good picture of it. They have new coils, the light speed coils for the 340. So they just came out yesterday. They changed the instructions, and I haven't got the mount yet, but the mount basically will have idle clamps to the push rod tubes here. All 4 of the coil packs will go here. So on top of the plate for the coil packs, there'll be an L bracket, and you got that in your kit already, and that will be riveted to the bracket, and then will be riveted to the back of the baffles to hold these guys here. And then on the front, this changed up a little bit because the coil packs, 2 of them used to sit here. They don't anymore. The coil packs do not go here anymore. You get this guy right here, and you'll take the case bolt off here. And I'm going to contact Michelle about this, because this side, there's enough for this guy to go in and be fine. It won't crush it. But this guy's recessed, and I'm worried about it crushing this guy right here. I'd like to ask her if we should put some washers. In the old instructions, it shows washers here. It doesn't show this piece, but the old way they did it, it shows some washers here. So in the new instructions, it doesn't, and I'm going to ask her about that. Like I said, they just changed the instructions, so they may have missed it. So this guy holds the forward baffles. They will go here and 1 here. And then this guy will hold them. And it says to put the angle brackets here, kind of like we did on these guys. It says to put it here, but it doesn't say how many they want, where. I'm thinking we put 1 here and maybe 1 right here. So an angle bracket on the inside here and an angle bracket here. And then just rivet it with the AVEXs, 2 here, 2 here, 2 AVEX rivets here, 2 AVEX rivets here, and then 2 into the forward piece. And the same thing over here. Maybe 1 here and 1 here, or maybe 1 here and 1 here. I'm not sure yet. Like I said, it doesn't show it in the instructions. That's another question I have sent out to Rans, and they haven't got back to me yet. So that's this. We've got all the fuel pump mounted, the lines mounted. What's really neat is these guys right here are clockable, so you can unscrew this, clock this fitting in any which way you want, and then tighten this, hold the fitting, and then tighten with a wrench, and then tighten this guy back up. So that way you don't have to unscrew it, try to get it where you want it. Makes it really simple to clock the clockable feature on this side and the other side. So I don't think we're putting a fuel flow meter, which would mount here out of the fuel pump. This line that goes to the servo would go into the fuel flow meter, and then coming out of it would go to the servo. And that just tells you your gallon per hour burn. Talked to Dad about it, and he said that he really didn't care for it. It's just going to tell you, how much gas you're burning, and Dad said he wasn't worried about it, so we're not going to put it on as of now. This is the solenoid for the starter, and there will be another solenoid up here. Well, it's a contactor for the battery, and Rans calls for putting it here, but I'm thinking about putting it closer to the battery, because what I've been reading is the further away from the battery it is, so the battery mounts back here, and the further away from the battery the contactor is. So basically the contactor is just a switch for the battery power. So if you put the guy right here and your positives here, you've got that much wire, you know, few inches that can short out, you know, rub on something and short out. If you have that wire coming here running all the way up, down through here, up and through the firewall, and then to the contactor, you have that much more wire that can be a problem. That's something that we're deciding on. Haven't decided if it's going here or going closer to the battery. We have been looking at a vertical power box. So basically that gets rid of all of your breakers. So basically you wire switches to the vertical power box, and from the vertical power box straight to whatever you're running, fuel pump, lights, you know, whatever you're running, and then you can go in and set up in the vertical power through your computer what each circuit, the value for the circuit that you're running. They actually have a nice little app on vertical power that you can actually go in and put, you know, you're using a G3X, you're using, you know, so-and-so light, so-and-so alternator, so-and-so fuel pump, and it will basically figure out you know, all your amp draws and everything for you, so you can build out that wiring harness through the app. And so we've been building that out. It's like $1,500, but you're looking at about $600 for breakers. So it's kind of on the pricey side, but it's pretty nice. So I think we're going to go with that. We're about to mount the header tank. So when you're working on the header tank, this edge over there, Dad pointed out, that grabs on this tank, and when you try to pull the tank out, it will not let the tank come out.
It will dig into your plastic.
It will dig into the, like,
Cut into the plastic.
Yeah, it cuts into the plastic, like right here. Luckily it didn't go through. But yeah, so we cut a little edge so it wasn't a 90, and that still didn't work. So you need somebody to push down on it with a screwdriver when you take the tank out like that to get the tank out. So just a little tip. And then the way we did this is on the tank, I actually found the center of the tank. Oh wow, that worked out pretty doggone close. So I found the center of the tank, which was this X right here. And in the manual, it says or in the instructions, it says to extend the line out on your X and Y axis. Okay, and then you put the tank back in. You don't have to put it in, Dad. Put the tank back in, and you extend your lines onto the floor, the belly skin. And then where those you draw it, and where those intersect, that's where you drill a hole. What I did is I drilled a pilot hole, a number 40, down through the belly skin. Then I put the tank back into the airplane, and then drilled up through the airplane so it was perfectly centered.
Through the same hole. Through
the same hole. That way you're not trying to measure, and that kept me up at night. I didn't know how we were going to do that. It's a good tip on how to do that. And so this was pretty cool. So what I did was I set the header tank down in here, and you need to be careful right here. The header tank, when you pull it out, it wants to grab right here, and it wants to dig into the header tank. So you want to have somebody push down on this end, or we tried to do what Rans did and slide a scrap piece of aluminum, and it didn't help. It was catching right here. So we had to basically push down with a long screwdriver. And that made it really simple. So once you get this guy mounted where you want it, you will find the center point on your tank. So I took this and we set it inside the airplane where it was going in its mount. Okay, and then we took those marks that I showed you, and we put a mark out here and a mark out here to correspond with what was on the tank. Pulled the tank back out. We went ahead and drew, drew this line to here, and then brought this line into here, and where they intersected, we drilled a number 40 hole. After that hole was drilled through the belly pan, we brought the tank back in and set it down. I went up and underneath while Dad held the tank down, and I drilled a 40 hole from the bottom, that pilot hole that we had drilled earlier, back through the bottom into the tank. And it was, I think it was a 1/32 off on my tank from my center point on my tank. So it was super close to my center point on my tank, my line that I drew on the center point of the tank. But basically what that did is made this perfectly straight from the tank through the belly pan. Okay, then you can take your step bit and drill this guy out. You want to wait to see how big you need it, because how much of that drain is going to stick out of here. So once you figure that out, you set this down on here and drill this guy out for your drain, and it should be perfect. I mean, I think that's the best way to do it, is what we just explained. I think that's the best way because it gets it spot on. So that helped me out. Hopefully this little video helps you guys with some tips, and we'll catch you guys next time.